Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my performance review of the Li-Ning Liren 5. So this is I got the strawberry milkshake colorway in, and this colorway is kind of, I really like it, but I don't really like the strawberries on it, you know what I mean? I feel like they should have left out the strawberries, you know, but anyways, it is available over at Kick's Own. So yeah, as far as the price goes, it does vary depending on the colorway, of course. So it varies from 150 bucks to like 180 bucks. So if you guys do want to cop, I'll try to leave in the free link in the description box. If you do choose to get this shoe, it does help me out if you buy it through the free link in the description box. And also my socks are available. It is a hybrid sock. It's like a going out sock. It looks very nice and simple, but it does have a nice bit of padding. But also you can work out or also play ball in it if you would like. So a link to that will be in the description box. But let's get it started right off with the traction. So we have a couple of different traction patterns, right? So we have like a herringbone traction pattern here. We got a squiggly line traction pattern here on the lateral side of the forefoot. We got some crisscross zigzag lines, you know what I mean? And we got another kind of pattern here in the midfoot. So how's the traction? It's freaking phenomenal. It has an amazing bite, right? I really did not need to break it in at all. And it was good right out the box. And if you're playing on a clean court, it has one of the hardest stops that you can get right now, right? It's a really, really nice stop. Also, it has a very, very nice loud high-pitched squeak, which has nothing to do with performance. But if you're like me and like to have a really loud and squeaky shoe, it just kind of gives you that like, I don't know, I like it, you know what I mean? So if you like that, then this shoe has got you covered. And also, moving on to dust performance, it is very, very nice, right? So if you're playing on a slightly dusty court, it bites through dust extremely well and picks up pretty minimal dust. And then if it does pick up a little bit of dust, you just do a very easy and slight wipe and you have really good stops again, and it feels like you're playing on a clean court, you know what I mean? So light dust, good to go, still really, really nice. Once you get into moderate dust, it does pick up dust kind of quickly. It's not super fast, but it does pick it up. And then one good thing about it though is that I don't slide out dangerously. You know, I never slid out and I never felt unsafe. It just kind of like started sliding around just a tiny bit, you know, obviously because the dust, you know what I mean, and just like most other shoes. But it is a very easy wipe, like I said. So if you don't mind wiping, if you do keep up with your wipes, you have really good stops still on a moderate court. Just need to wipe a little bit more, right? And obviously it's gonna slide around a little bit more. And if you're playing on a super heavily dusty court, it will pick up a good amount of dust. Again, you know, you're just gonna have to wipe a little bit more, and it's not super dangerous, but it just doesn't bite as well on a super heavy dusty court, right? So yeah, overall really, really nice traction. I love playing this shoe because of that. And as far as the durability goes, it feels like it'll be amazing as well. Like the grooves are super thick, right? Look at the grooves, right? So very, very thick grooves. And also the rubber is actually very, very hard, you know? So you should be fine playing on an outdoor court with this shoe. So yeah, the traction is very, very nice. So the sexy time. I love the traction in this shoe, right? Now moving on to the heel to toe transition, also extremely smooth and bouncy, you know what I mean? And that has to do with the cushioning setup, so I guess it kind of ties in with the cushion. But here in the heel, as you guys can see, we do have a nice kind of like curved and rounded shape, you know what I mean? So that feels smooth in the heel, and you can see just how caged the actual midsole is. Look at that. Like the rubber and also this external heel counter is caging the entire cushioning setup here in the heel, as well as pretty much the entire like shoe. You know what I mean? There's no exposed foam, you know? So it is using full length boom. However, it's actually a very soft rubber. You know what I mean? Like you can even press it in there. So, you know, when I'm kind of like doing heel dominant strides, you know what I mean? You know, it feels soft. There's a nice bit of compression there, you know, but also maybe it's because the rubber is caging the boom. And then because of that, it's kind of giving it a little bit more like a bouncy feel. You know what I mean? But either way, right? It feels soft, right? When you make contact, but then coming here to the forefoot, has a nice kind of like rebound and bounce back, which feels great. And then we have a nice curve shape here in the forefoot, you know, putting a little bit of weight here at the tip of the toe, keeps you on your toes. It feels really nice when you're shooting as well. And then here in the forefoot, it feels really nice, you know what I mean? It's able to flex, of course, which is great, but also it has a nice kind of springy feel. It's not as springy as like, you know, like the WOW 11 or shoes that have like a full length carbon fiber plate. However, it also has a nice kind of tension to it and spring back, which feels like kind of springy and explosive, especially out of your first step as well. So yeah, Heel to toe transition feels amazing. This is kind of like, this is what I like, you know what I mean? This is just what I like in my hoop shoes. This is what I like to feel. Something smooth, but also kind of like spring, you know? And also, of course, we have this kind of like core down midsole to reduce the overall weight of the shoe. It looks like the Eclipse plate from the Jordan 34, of course. But yeah, I really love how it looks. It looks great, right? Also, looking right over here, you can see the actual boom foam, you know? So moving on to the cushioning setup. The cushioning setup also is freaking amazing, guys, right? So it does everything really well in my personal opinion. It's just like, I feel like Chinese companies, they just do cushioning setups really well. Or I guess for me, with like, they do it just how I like it, you know what I mean? So of course, like I said, it is using full length boom, or I guess like boom pods in the forefoot and heel because there's nothing here in the midfoot, but either way, it's pretty much full length boom, right? And yeah, it feels absolutely amazing. So the core feel is really good. You know, you have good core feel, you feel low to the ground, but also it's freaking bouncy, right? So here in the heel, it's a different feel than like your typical kind of like Chinese company shoe setup, you know what I mean? So like, for example, you know, like the Ultralight 2025, you know, that shoe is using full length boom and stuff like that, but the impact protection is not as good as the Liren 5. Anyways, it's using a soft mesh strobel board, right? Also, I was playing with the Kai 2 as well, alongside the Liren 5, and the Kai 2 is using a soft mesh strobel board as well, so the underfoot cushion is really freaking soft and nice, right? So in the Liren 5, we have kind of like an elastic kind of like insole, you know what I mean? So it does feel pretty, it's like more rubbery, you know what I mean? Rather than like a softer foam, like an Ortholite foam. But then underneath that, we can see a kind of like strobel board. It's not a soft mesh strobel board, right? And we have some holes here in the heel as well as in the forefoot, exposing the foam a little bit. And then when you press it with your finger, it's still soft, right? So I'm not saying it's like stiff or anything. It's still really, really soft and comfortable, especially for underfoot cushion and step and comfort, but it's a little bit stiffer than a soft mesh strobel board, you know what I mean? So when I'm just standing around, the Liren 5 isn't as soft as, you know, like the Ultralight 2025 or like the Kai 2, you know what I mean? It's a little bit stiffer, and I am a lighter dude, right? So if you are heavier, you're probably gonna feel it a little bit easier, but for me, not as much when I'm just standing around, right? But when I get going, you know, once I start playing, once I start running down the court and stuff like that, it gets bouncy, you know what I mean? And it's not like my foot is digging into the heel or like the actual cushion, like the Kai 2s and the Ultralight 2025. It feels more like there's like a pod and the entire thing is bouncy. More like a trampoline, you know what I mean? So in the heel, that felt really nice, right? Also in the forefoot, that felt really nice. Of course, the forefoot is more dead, but also still has a nice kind of like compression and a little bit of bounce, which feels great, you know what I mean? And coupling that with the kind of like springiness of the actual shoe feels awesome. So yeah, it has a nice bit of bounce. Step and comfort, not as nice, but underfoot cushion, once I started going, felt really good. And it's soft and bouncy, you know what I mean? Impact protection also is good. Obviously, it's not amazing if you're comparing to like, I don't know, like the GT Jump 2 or like the GT Hustle 3, but it has adequate impact protection for me, and it didn't hurt my foot at all, especially comparing to the Ultralight 2025, because the Ultralights, you know, it's a really soft foam, and I can feel my foot digging into that foam, and then, you know, it would hit the floor a little bit because the foam is so soft, right? But I guess in this setup, maybe because the strobel board is a little bit stiffer, I don't know. I just didn't feel that, you know what I mean? So the impact protection was good. It's just an overall amazing cushioning setup, especially if you're a guard and you want something low to the ground and responsive, but still like with good core feel and bounce. This is really, really nice, you know what I mean? So yeah, they kind of killed it here in the Liren 5s. I would say it's more of like a responsive, bouncier setup comparing it to like, you know, the Kai 2, the Joker 1, you know, the Ultralight 2025 with the soft mesh strobel board, which is just softer feel, you know? So there's that. Moving on to the upper. So the upper also is extremely freaking nice, you know what I mean? Obviously, I don't know if it's coming out on camera because, you know, I feel like, you know, on camera, the shoes just look a lot cleaner. But then, you know, in my hand, you know, in real life, it's just so dirty. You know what I mean? So it's basically like this kind of like cloth-like material. It's a fabric. It's a knit, pretty much like a leno weave, you know? And it's this white color. And if you can, probably don't get a light color if you like to keep your shoes looking a little bit cleaner. Probably get a darker color if you can. But yeah, it gets really dirty. You know what I mean? But also, durability is not that good. I don't know if, like right here, this fuse is kind of like fraying off. So the durability of the upper doesn't seem that good. You know what I mean? So just be careful with that. But overall, I do like how thin. Look at this. It's so thin, it's so minimal here in the toe box, but it still has adequate support. You know what I mean? Also, the ventilation is insane. You know, I can literally feel the air rushing through the actual upper. So ventilation is amazing. It's minimal. It conforms to my foot very well. Overall supportive, especially here in the toe box, right? On top of the toes, it's soft. You know what I mean? Look at that. You know what I mean? So that feels great, but also around the toe box, you can see the overlays. So that does add a little bit more support, a little bit more rigidity, and also adds to the durability as well here in the toe box. Here in the midfoot, also it does feel a little bit more glued down, right? There's a lot more glue, also an underlaying material here in the midfoot, which is pretty standard. So it does feel a little bit more stiff and a little bit more rigid, which gives you a little bit more of a supportive feel, which feels great. You know what I mean? Like I have really no issues with support here in this shoe from the upper. Also the tongue, I hate the tongue because there's no padding. You know what I mean? I wish they would add a little bit more padding to shoes that have this type of feel. You know what I mean? Like in my personal opinion, I like to have a little bit more of a cozier feel on top of my foot. You know what I mean? Where the tongue is. But you know, I guess they were trying to keep the weight down, and also they wanted more of a minimal feel, which makes sense there. I mean, there is one singular pod of foam in the middle of the tongue, but yeah, it's not that nice, right? Also, it is a half booty construction tongue, giving you a better overall one-to-one fit, and also this mesh material is just so thin and so well ventilated, right? Also here in the ankle area, pretty much like very minimal padding. You know what I mean? Like on the sides, it's pretty minimal. I actually would say it has a little bit more padding than like the Ultralight 2025 and other shoes that are trying to have that minimal feel. It has a little bit more padding in the ankle area, which I do like. And then coming here in the back of the shoe, it has a little bit of padding, which does feel kind of cozy, but still like less than average type of foam, right? So yeah, the only thing I didn't like about the material is that it gets dirty, and also I guess the durability doesn't seem great. But other than that, like it's great for me. You know what I mean? Of course, it's not the most supportive feel if you want like a very supportive upper and also like a very supportive feel. But I feel like for most people, especially if you're a guard, it's gonna be adequate for support. And the upper is just really thin, really well ventilated, conforms to my foot very well, you know what I mean? So there is the upper there. Moving on to the fit, so I went up half a size, and this shoe fits me extremely well. So as far as the length goes, there is a little bit of length, but I don't really mind the length at all, of course, because it's just so snug here in the toe box, right? I mean, there is a little bit of forgiveness because this material is really soft. So like when I just have it on, you know what I mean? Like the material pretty much goes right over my toes. But I can curl my toes up just a tiny bit because this material is a little bit more forgiving, right? So I guess that is nice. It's not too stretchy or anything like that. It feels just right for me, right? Also width-wise, it is slightly narrow too. So yeah, going up half a size for me was really nice. I feel like if I went true to size, it'll be too snug, right? So in the Liren 4 V2, I went true to size and it was just super snug for me, which is one reason I didn't like playing in that shoe. So that's why I went up half a size for me in this shoe, and it just fits me a lot better, even though there is a little bit of length. Again, I don't really mind that because it is more snug here in the toe box. So yeah, if you have a really skinny foot and you want a really snug fit, then go true to size. You know what I mean? I feel like you can get away with it. Also, this material does stretch out a little bit once you break it in. So if you do want that snug fit, then go true to size. But if you want to be a little bit more on the safer side of things and you don't mind kind of a little bit longer fit and a little bit more roominess, then you'll be fine going true to size, because I didn't really mind it all too much. If you have a wide foot, probably go up a full size, or probably just stay away from the shoe, you know what I mean, because it is a snug narrow fit. So there is the fit there. Moving on to the support and lockdown. Support and lockdown was adequate and it was good for me. It's not great, of course, especially compared to like shoes like the Team Joker, you know what I mean, the Harden Volume 9, the Dame 9, you know. Shoes that have really good support. It doesn't really compare to those, obviously, but it is adequate for support for me. So as far as the lateral containment goes, here in the forefoot, we have rubber and plastic. It's like a V shape, right? And then here in the heel, we have this external heel counter. So lateral containment was good. You know, my foot wasn't really coming out of the footbed, and also because of the structural rigidity and also because of the snug fit, my foot wasn't moving inside of the shoe either. So yeah, it just felt really good for lockdown and also support when I was doing crazy lateral movements, crossover, step backs and stuff like that. I felt good to go, right? Obviously, you know what I mean, because the material is really minimal and also soft, it wasn't as supportive, you know what I mean, as like the Harden Volume 9, you know, but again, I didn't mind it and it was good for me, and I feel like it'll be good for most people. So that's fine. And also lateral stability was really good. You know, we have a wide base, you know what I mean? So that's fine for me. And also I had 0 heel slippage. So yeah, supporting lockdown was great for me, and I feel like it'll be adequate for most people unless you want like a crazy amount of support, you know what I mean? And now moving on to the weight of the shoe. This shoe is really freaking light, you know what I mean? It comes in at 11.3 ounces. The average weight of my shoes is around 12.5 ounces, so it is pretty dang light. Let's check the other shoe, 11.45 ounces, right? So yeah, it feels extremely light. It feels extremely minimal, right? And also it feels extremely responsive and bouncy, you know what I mean? So it's just a shoe that just really feels like an extension of my foot. Like I really don't have to worry about it. It doesn't feel like I have something on my foot. I just focus on, you know, playing ball. But one thing that I really do like, you know, it kind of feels like that, like a minimal kind of like barefoot type of feel, you know what I mean? But it has really good cushion, you know? So that's just a really nice kind of like cherry on top, and I felt really quick and responsive when I was playing in the shoe. And moving on to the aesthetics, I love it. You know, the design looks great. Some of the other colorways look absolutely amazing. Just again, like if you can, probably just don't get a light colored material, and you'll be good to go, right? So yeah, wrapping things up, this is one of my favorite hoop shoes so far of this year. The Liren 5 surprised the hell out of me. The traction is phenomenal, cushion's phenomenal. The upper, I had no issues with it. I love how well ventilated it is, but also supportive. You know, it's adequate for support, fit me well, you know. It's lightweight, it's also pretty springy and very bouncy feeling too. So yeah, I love this, especially as a guard, you know what I mean? If you're a bigger dude, obviously, probably don't get this shoe. I feel like you can make it work, but it's not the best option, you know? But if you're a guard, this shoe is freaking amazing, especially if you want a lightweight shoe with a bouncy cushioning setup, you know what I mean? So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed playing in the shoe, and in my personal opinion, I think it's a little bit of an improvement from the Ultralight 2025. I guess besides the traction, the Ultralight 2025 traction is a little bit better on dust with the GCU, but the cushion definitely is an improvement in my personal opinion, you know? So anyways, I definitely do recommend this shoe, and it definitely is like a top 5 performer for me. So anyways, that about concludes my performance review of the Li-Ning Liren 5. Again, if you guys do want to copy, try to leave in the free link in the description box. But that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.